Welcome back to the pod you're looking for. I'm Josh. This is Sam. And on today's episode, we got a lot of fun stuff planned.
What an episode.
I like that.
What an
I like
episode
that.
we've got, dude.
Yeah, we're going to be covering the end of Oak Street we just saw last night.
Peak.
We're going to be covering X-Men 97 season finale.
Peaker.
The whole season as well.
Oh my gosh.
Which we
It
haven't
just
talked
keeps-
about since episode 4, I think.
Just
came
keeps
out.
getting better
So,
and better.
Two very different tales. Interesting that we'll get to.
And then we got a brand new game that we're
brand
going
new
through.
game. What is it?
Little Wouldya Couldya.
Oh.
Little Wouldya Couldya. And people are like, what the heck is that? You're going to have to find out.
That's right.
I
That's right.
I guess you're just going to have to stick around and find
That's
out.
right. So we're going to be doing all that.
Oh, yeah.
We have just a very few Galactic Transmissions just to cover.
Just a couple.
Just a few ones.
Just a couple. We're barely going to spend 45 minutes on it.
No, I actually think this should be quick.
I
Actually
agree.
think this should be
I agree. I just have to get to the end of Oak Street.
Is that right? Is that right? Okay.
You just have to find out
You
what.
got to find out.
The people are wondering what is at the end of Oak Street. We're going to tell them. We know.
We-
We're the only two people that went and
we
saw it,
found
so
it
we
out.
found out. We know.
We found out. No.
What do we got? Well, what do we got in Galactic Transmissions? I say we just dive right in.
Yeah, we got a couple. Specifically, it's just a couple DC nuggets, a couple Marvel nuggets.
Yeah.
And the Marvel of it all is tonight is D23, the Marvel panel.
Sure.
And
Probably should have recorded tonight, but it's okay.
Well, to be fair to us, you got a crazy busy day tomorrow.
That's true.
Wedding stuff going on.
That is true.
I mean, you can't really help that.
Yeah, there's a
And then-
little bridal shower going on.
Right. And then we've also got D23 scheduled for 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, is that it?
Oh, yeah.
That's
just,
all?
Yeah, it's starting.
Oh, yeah. Hey, don't
starting.
go to bed. We're coming on stage.
So kind of nothing you can do about it.
And also,
Maybe we'll...
whether you believe in good or bad omens, the last time we recorded at 10 p.m. For a podcast episode, our basement flooded 4 days later. So
That's
this
a good
might
point.
actually be
That's a good point.
This might actually be good thinking on our part to not do that.
Unless we got to undo it.
But there is news.
There is
news
news.
enough to talk about.
There is news.
Yeah, you want to walk us through?
Yeah. Well, there's been a whole lot. I'll start with the Marvel stuff real quick since I just brought that
Yeah,
up.
please.
There's been a whole tug of war game going on online of rumors and stuff flying around. Some people going, hey, guess what? Actually, the whole X-Men casting thing happening this week, not happening. The actor
Yeah.
playing Beast pulled out potentially, and
Charles Melton? Is that it?
nice, good pull.
Hey.
That's the problem with all these people that I don't know is I literally can't remember their names. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I
I mean, that's on
So-
him, you know?
Yeah. So there's been a little bit of people talking about, hey, maybe the cast isn't going to be announced.
Sure.
I'm still thinking like it is going to be. I think most people have some buzz around that. I'm hoping what we end up getting is a definitive date on the X-Men movie.
Oh, sure.
I'm hoping we get a villain announcement. The cast,
At least the characters.
yes.
Sure.
Like I want like 5 or 6 people in there for the cast that we can just have to like latch onto. Hoping we
cool.
get that. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we get some sort of like Doomsday thing going on too.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
Maybe like you think they'd release the San Diego Comic-Con trailer.
We're
maybe?
probably getting a trailer.
Probably
yeah.
tonight.
I mean, they just dropped actually, before we sat down to record, they just dropped a new Doom poster of him kind of from the side going like this. So I'd
Dude,
imagine.
those posters are so cool.
And they're
the
cooking out of their
freaking
mind with the
best.
promotional stuff. This is going to be one of the best promotional campaigns
Yeah,
of all time.
dude, looks
It-
so good.
It looks so good. I hope it's not one of those movies where the promotional campaign rocks because they know the movie's kind of a mess and they're trying to like generate hype off just the trailers and
Yep.
stuff. You know, hope it's something like Infinity War where the movie's actually
Yep.
the hype warrants the the product.
Yes.
But, yeah, we'll see. Well, I guess we'll see. But yeah,
Yeah, speaking to the sequel to Infinity War, though, the Russo brothers recently just said that the Avengers Endgame re-release is, quote, required to watch ahead of going to see Doomsday.
required, not just
Required.
suggested.
Yeah.
So they're not
Required.
saying brush up on the build into Doomsday. They're saying there's some things in here that weren't there before that you now need to see in order to understand what's happening in Doomsday,
Right.
which is a very big pill to swallow.
Especially when you hear it's only like 6 minutes longer.
Yeah, we heard. Yeah, dude. So what do you think that means? I mean, we've discussed this before. Do you think this means new content? Do you think this means they've taken things out? Do you think this means the ending is different altogether? New post-credit scenes? What could this possibly be? Do you have any theories?
Does it mean it's a Doom cameo?
I think it only makes sense that it would be a Doom cameo.
I think it'd be good. I think we're going to get... I think we're either getting Doom versus the TVA,
Sure.
which is the most popular theory in my head. But
Doom
Doom versus TVA. But
in
I don't,
Endgame?
Well, see, that's what I was going to say. That's the thing that makes the most sense for something that we need to see outside of Doomsday that would make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, I don't know how that fits at all with Endgame.
Right.
I think you just get a continuation of the Peggy and Steve dancing scene.
Sure, and like
and
Doom's outside their house or
literally,
something.
like right after.
Sure.
Almost right after, or they go to bed that night and then fast forward a couple days and we're literally just in that same time frame.
I see.
I think that's what happens if we're going to get extended footage. I don't know what else you can do.
So you're in the line of thinking that it's a direct continuation off Endgame into Doomsday rather than Captain Marvel style stay for the post-credit scene, because the post-credit scene is just a 5-minute scene from Endgame that we decided to cut and put.
I think it's going to be that. There's too much buzz around it being something else other than just a post-credit.
Sure.
I think. And also, I mean, yeah, I feel like that's the case.
Sure.
I feel like you can't do anything with the regular present time at all.
No.
Because it makes no sense.
No.
For there to be external things happening.
I agree.
It has to be, and it doesn't even make sense to do things with people like Strange because he's got his own stuff going on. It has to be Steve. That's the only thing that makes any sense.
That would be so creative, because I mean, they have the trailer, the original teaser announcing Steve's return that's what he looked like at the end of Endgame. Clearly, by the time we see at least what we perceive to be Steve, it could be a version of him. But when we see him in Doomsday, he looks more like he did in Infinity War. So clearly, some time has passed between the sequence teasing his return, where he's holding his kid, and then when he's interacting with like Thor and the rest. Some time has passed. Some stuff has happened. If that is the same Steve. So I guess you're right then. It would have to be like a continuation, kind of fill in the gap there. I don't know. Now, let me propose this to you. And I want to credit, I hope I'm getting the name right. I believe it was the Shed Some Light podcast. These guys, it looked like they had just started out. They had like 6 clips on their page when I found them.
Okay.
So like they had just started out. But it was one of those things, where like these podcasts, these smaller up and coming podcasts, like will like pop up on your feed, and you're, every now and then one stops you in your tracks. These guys were cooking out of their minds with this take, so I want to credit them. But the one guy who was talking, he said, now think back to the end of Endgame. At the end of the credits, you don't get a post-credit scene originally in the theatrical release. What you get is the sound of Tony's hammer. Now, somebody said, imagine if in the re-release, the movie ends, you get to the end of the credits, you hear the hammer, but the camera opens back up and the screen comes back up, and it's actually Doom crafting his helmet.
Oh.
Somebody was like, imagine you hear that sound, but the whole time they kind of insinuate that the sound wasn't actually Tony building his Iron Man suit. It was Doom crafting his helmet or his mask, and you could have like a kind of a continuation building off of that. Now, I think that's how you can integrate Doom. How you continue the stuff with Steve, I think, could be a whole other thing, and you could do both. But that guy said that, and I was like, oh, that's actually...
But
I wouldn't even mind that.
Yeah, I agree for the continuity.
It'd be pretty cool.
But also, what would that give you as anything different?
It wouldn't. It would just continue to tease.
Yeah, but how does that make it required to watch?
Right. It would.
I like it.
It would just kind of
filling stuff in. Yeah.
I agree. It would just kind of continue to tease it. It'd be kind of like Thanos saying, "Fine, I'll do it myself." It's like, all right, do what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
I like that though. That's cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, that's cool theory.
Yeah,
I like that.
Not good enough. So everybody
shed some light on this bad take. Just kidding. I swear I'm kidding.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It really could be anything. I think you're on the nose right there. I with the Steve stuff. I think it can really only continue off of Steve or kind of tease the connection between Tony and Doom.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the two. I don't see any sense in teasing something with the Fantastic Four.
You can't. Like,
no.
They haven't been... if you're going direct to the thing.
I think it has to either be the connection between Tony and Victor, or it has to be the connection between Victor and Steve.
Right.
Yeah.
And for it to be advertised, the way it's been advertised is almost like it's important that it's with Endgame, not that it's just attached to Endgame that they were going to re-release anyway. It was always
Sure.
that it's in conjunction with Endgame.
Sure.
So in my head, it has to be something that directly relates to that. It can't be just something that's adjacent.
Yeah.
So if it's going to directly relate, then it has to be with Steve. That's
Interesting.
the only answer in my head.
All right. Well, hey, there's the Marvel stuff, and we're gonna put this out, and by the time we put this episode out, there'll be, a boatload of new stuff to go over. But we'll talk about that next week when the spotlight is on DC and the Lantern Show, the long-awaited Lantern Show. Oh, I've been rubbing my hands, licking my chops at that bad boy.
Do you feel vindicated at all? Let's talk about this because lately online, I'll say this. Everybody has been clowning and hating on DC.
Oh, keep going.
And it's pretty much just everything you've been saying for the last year.
Oh.
Do you feel like all about that?
I just want to sit here and savor this moment for a second. Can I
let
read
time pass.
Can I read something? I just want to sit here for a while. Let time pass. Can I sit here and read something to you?
Please.
So James Gunn 3 years ago came, actually it was closer to 4, came out and announced that he was joining DC as the head of DC Studios. The DCU or ECU, the DCEU, I think it was 3 years ago. The DCEU was being rebranded as the DCU. No connection to the MCU. No, definitely no competitive edge there. But James Gunn came out and he announced the first phase in the DCU, something he dubbed Gods and Monsters. Oh, gods and everybody sit down, boys and girls. We're diving into some gods and monsters. Oh, what does that entail, Mr. James? Well, let me tell you, kids. Here's the slate that James Gunn read 3 years ago to a raving audience. Are you ready for this? Starting with Superman Legacy, rebranded to Superman. So we had Superman. We had The Authority, he announced, as the next big team up. We have The Brave and the Bold, the continuation of the DCU's Batman. We have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. He announced Swamp Thing, Creature Commandos, a Waller show, Booster Gold, Lanterns, and Paradise Lost, which he described as Game of Thrones meets Wonder Woman.
Interesting.
Let me read back that list. Superman Legacy, underperformed by around $400 million. The Authority, canceled. The Brave and the Bold, production hell. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the biggest superhero flop of all time. Swamp Thing, who? Creature Commandos, we don't know what that is. Waller, canceled. Booster Gold, being rewritten and canceled. Lanterns, re-releasing on TV when it probably should have been a movie. And Paradise Lost, canceled.
Is that good?
It's great. It's so good. I've been saying for the last year and 2 months now that James's undoing would be what makes James Gunn James Gunn. James Gunn can't help himself. James Gunn focuses on these no-name characters. I've been saying James Gunn has to branch out. James Gunn can't make a Condiment King project because no one will be seated for it. And the people came after me and they said, "Oh, but I love Polka Dot Man from the Suicide Squad, and I love how he did this and that. And you didn't watch Peacemaker season 2? You must be a casual fan. You must be a casual." And I sat here and I said, "You might have the diehards, but if you can't bring in the general audience, this is not going to succeed." And lo and behold, James Gunn has fallen. I just feel so good. I feel so good. I don't wish on people's demise, but man, you know what? James Gunn just flat out stinks. And I've been saying it. I've been saying it forever. I've been saying it forever. I will be seated for Man of Tomorrow. I'll be seated for Lanterns. It looks like a couple cool Batman things are coming out. We're seated for that. But when you don't understand that the way this universe succeeds in a cinematic format is when you're setting up the characters that people know, and you insist to us that we would rather see a Paradise Lost show and 3 seasons of Creature Commandos before we ever get a cinematic version of your Batman, you lost me. And I'm the diehard, and you're going to lose other people too. And that's exactly what has happened. What has been said has come to pass, and I just want to sit here for a minute. I'm just really enjoying it, dude. I don't know what else to say. I've ranted my way into exhaustion multiple times on this podcast about how much I despise James Gunn. I was told for months, time and time again, you're crazy, you're negative. And now
I've read the comments.
Now the people have come around to it. People are sick and fed up.
Our Supergirl clip, the one that we posted right after the movie came out, got like a second wind over the last week. It's gained across the platforms. It's gained like over 100K.
Yeah.
And it's been just taken off with people being like, this is exactly right. Not that they weren't before, but it's overwhelmingly so. And I just see an online population of the regular people. For the most part, the sentiment is
The people that are going to bring you the
what
money
the heck
you
is
need.
going on. Yeah.
The
But
people
it's just bizarre. I mean, it's a weird step because a lot of the things that are getting canceled, I like that they're getting canceled because
Yeah.
I don't think they should be a thing.
These are
so in
good.
some ways, it's a step in the right direction. I think it more just feels like there is like, I mean, we keep talking about there being no direction. But
There
it's
isn't
kind of
one.
like, so then what's been going on
There's
behind
no
the scenes?
direction.
But like, what's happening behind the scenes though?
What's happening behind the scenes is James Gunn sitting there and he's got crap in his pants because Spider-Man Brand New Day just made $2 billion in 2.5 weeks. And Supergirl made $125 million.
Oh my gosh!
And it's been out for 2 months. That's what's happening behind the scenes. Is DC's going
Spider-Man
up to
made
James.
that in our Regal alone.
Dude, I think we made Supergirl's box office return in our theater that we went to on that Thursday night. That was Supergirl's box office
was
return.
it.
And what's happening behind the scenes is David Zaslav and all the people behind the scenes at DC are going and picking James up by his frosted tips gray mohawk, and they're saying this ain't gonna work anymore. And it's just the way it is, dude.
Could you start a clip like that?
It's just
They're
how it
grabbing
works.
James by his frosted tips. This ain't gonna work.
It just ain't gonna work. It just is what it is. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't
like that they're
mean to
getting
be this
canceled,
cut and
though.
dry. I wish I had more of an in-depth thing, but if you want to listen to me rant about James Gunn, go and listen to Anytime DC's come up in the last year on our podcast. I don't believe in this guy. This guy thinks that because Guardians succeeded at a time when Marvel could do no wrong, that he could do no wrong. And the two are not one and the same. Just because Marvel was above mistakes at that point does not mean that just because you got a piece of that pie, that anytime you go on your own, try to do your own thing, it's going to work in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to build yourself up to a point where you, individually, as a creative, are invincible.
Yeah.
And then you give us Booster Gold.
I think the only way they can salvage this at this point is they can't if they're trying to make this work, they can't rebrand the universe again. They have to just
No,
get
they
rid
can't.
of Gunn.
And that's what the unfortunate thing is, though.
But they have to just get rid of Gunn at this point. That's the only thing they can do is making him not the head guy,
Hey,
but keeping the same universe. No,
I'll tell you.
What else would you do?
You said it, not me.
what else would you do? Because you
I
can't
don't know,
rebrand
because I'll
again
say-
for the third time in
I'll say
6
this.
years.
I'll say this also because people are going to hear this and be like, "Oh, so you just want Snyder back?" That's not what I'm saying. It was a mess when Snyder was there too. His original trilogy, I'm talking Man of Steel, BVS extended cut, and Justice League Snyder cut. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Everything else that tried to branch off from the Snyder trilogy stunk. I'm not saying bring back Snyder. It was a mess there too. What I am saying is you are stuck in an impossible predicament now because you can't afford to rebrand. People do not understand what's happening at this point. But you can't stick with what you're doing either because people aren't gravitating towards it.
Yeah.
So you either stick with the tried and true path that you've paved for yourself that no one cares about, or you abandon it and lose your audience forever.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you,
Oh.
if they cancel the DCU, DC will never, I'll say this, DC will never see a positive box office return for another project as long as the company continues, except for Batman if they cancel this universe. The only IP that will survive in a cinematic form is Batman. Forever. Forever that will be
I
the
agree
case.
and disagree. I think they would have to wait like 10 years. If they waited till 2035,
Yeah. It'd
that
have
would
to
be, you either fire Gunn right now
Yep.
and completely try and just make this work, but like very clearly establish to the audience what exactly is going on.
Sure.
That's that option, or you wait 10 years. That's all you have, in my opinion, unless you're going to do solo one-offs like you said with the Batman. Which, honestly, I wouldn't hate that. If they just went and, hey, let's just work on finishing the Batman Part 2 and 3.
Let's
Leave
make
DC for 10 years
Let's
and
make
let's come
it
back to
incredible. Let's make the Robert Pattinson Batman trilogy a thing. And we'll do Court of Owls. We'll do whatever. The Penguin mayoral run. We'll do whatever we need to do.
Just
And-
let that be its own
And on
little
the
pocket.
side, on the side, we'll do a limited series for Scarecrow, and we'll do a limited series for Poison Ivy, and we'll do a Catwoman thing, and we'll pick out these characters and flesh this contained part of the universe out. And then maybe down the road we'll go back to what we were doing before. So we're not abandoning it, but we're setting our focus on the things that definitely work, just like we did with Man of Tomorrow. It may have underperformed, but it still performed well enough that that's clearly the direction people want to see this universe head. We'll go back to it. For now, we're just in bed. You could do that.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is DC is at a crisis point right now. Because, like I said, they can't abandon ship because people will never hop back on ever if they try and set sail again. And they can't really course correct either because Four Eyes over here made the mistake of taking bits from the Snyderverse that he introduced that he liked and keeping that, decanonizing the rest, and then introducing all these new characters. So it's like now you can't really course correct either because people are already busy trying to figure out what your plan is.
Yep.
It's an impossible predicament, and it's all James Gunn's fault, and I'm so happy.
I'll say.
Oh, it just feels good.
I honestly think the biggest mistake that James Gunn has made is starting the universe so quickly. I think the problem is
Interesting.
Is whenever you try to reboot something, time always helps everything. Anytime you get far enough distance from something, you have a longing for it. You know? So the longer you go away from the Snyderverse, the more it becomes a situation where you really are craving the Justice League because you haven't just gotten it a couple years ago, or you haven't just seen Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in end of 2023, and then a year and a half later, you're already prepping for Superman.
Right,
so it's right there.
There was a stretch where the two were overlapping.
Right.
It's
So you're
interesting.
right that way. I think if he had waited until around 2027 to drop Superman first, that'd be the movie in 2027 with a fleshed out cast and actual direction. Because to be fair to him, he's throwing this universe together last second. Like, he is throwing this together as he's going. But that's his problem. He should have just given it more time to say, hey, DC, I can do this thing, but we're setting it up where we're not setting this thing until 2027. And here's our map through 2032. 5-year plan. These are the things that are for sure happening. Here's a script written for most of those things. That's how you had to have done it. I don't get the urgency behind DC to abandon the Snyder thing and immediately jump into the next. I don't get it. I can't fathom if Marvel had done that. The reason it's working okay now is because it's the same continuous thing.
Sure.
If they had gone with the same universe, and I'm not saying they had to keep going with the Snyderverse, but like, it's hard to just switch it up from everybody, you know? And it's showing because, again, Marvel right now is on top of the world, it feels like. I mean, even if people's perception isn't there, the views and engagement on it, everyone's paying attention to Marvel right
We're
now.
18 years into this universe, and the most recent outing is about to cross $2 billion.
Right. So if that's the case, and again, we're seeing it's not superhero fatigue, I think that needs to be tossed out the window. Fatigue is gone. It's bad. People are sick of seeing bad movies. That's it. You know? I wouldn't go continuously see End of Oak Street over and over. Oh, did I spoil? I wouldn't go see it over and over again. You know? If I felt like that's exactly what I was getting every time. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But you feel like just because it has the label on it that it's going to be fine. And I can't fathom why they feel the urgency just to always pump it out and get it and get it and get it. Like, while Marvel's on top right now, there's nothing you can do to beat them at this point. And they're already hogging so much of this attention that you'd have to perform so well with what your movie is to be able to beat that.
DC needs to be honest with themselves. For years with Snyder, it was, how can we fast track this universe to have some measure of competition against Marvel at a time where they were going through Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame? How can we keep up? We don't have to beat them, but how can we keep up and make people feel like they can't miss out on our stuff just as much as they can't miss out on Marvel? And I would argue to an extent that they succeeded with Snyder, but we'll get to that in a minute. And I see people saying with James Gunn being brought in, and the DCU existing and the nature of its existence is not an answer to the MCU. And to that I would say you must be insane to feel that way. The idea that they would take the most successful individual director from the MCU and bring him over to the DC to make DC successful, you're literally mooching off of the competition for your own success. Right. You're stealing their answers.
But that's the same thing they've always been doing with Joss. Like, they are...
Exactly, but the problem is, even with the Justice League, the problem is, so let's be honest with ourselves just on a base level, that the only reason the DCU exists right now with James Gunn at the helm was to be some measure of competition to the MCU at a time where the MCU was low, and you said, all right, well, while you guys are sucking over here, we're going to take the best part of you, we're going to mooch it, and then we're gonna succeed while you guys are down. We're gonna kick you while you're down, and it didn't work out.
Yep.
The reason it didn't work out, and we need to be honest about this, James Gunn is a fan filmmaker. He makes fan films. In a world where you need to be in a world where you need to have a seat at the grown-up table, James Gunn is pulling up his little Tykes green plastic chair and he's saying, "What about me?" And it doesn't work that way. There are hundreds of people on YouTube that over the last 25 years, have loved Star Wars, have loved DC, have loved Marvel, and they've said, I have these ideas in my head as a fan. This is what I would love to see. I wish we got Mara Jade in Star Wars. I wish Luke was this powerful in the sequels. I wish Batman and Mr. Freeze fought each other and it wasn't a joke like it was in the 90s. I wish we got Apocalypse taken seriously in the X-Men. And so they don't see that in the cinematic form, and so they go and they do it themselves. And the reason it stays on social media is because fans have in most cases, fans don't have a team of people to make their ideas cinematic. They don't have the creative direction to make it cohesive. And they don't have the audience to tell them yes or no. Mm-hmm. And so there's just like a total free reign online of, this is the story that's in my head, and nobody's here telling me one way or the other, and I just got to get it out. And it's why you watch a fan film and you're like, meh. And James Gunn has made a living off of telling the stories that he would like to see in a world where the only way this works is if you have people telling you, but that's not what everyone wants. And the problem is, people dogged on Snyder for years for telling stories that were controversial, when I think, honestly, they should have been appreciating that there was cohesive direction forward. Mm-hmm. And
because I don't think James Gunn's a bad director. I think he's a bad front man as a leader.
He's a bad leader. He's a very bad leader.
He can be the second guy, and we've said this.
Yeah.
But his directing ability is not bad.
James Gunn.
He says, yeah, that's my wife. Go make her do the most intimate scene possible.
James Gunn is one of the most diehard fans of the formula that I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And I will never discredit for that. If I'm looking for somebody to authoritatively tell me what goes down in the comics, if I'm looking for that, I'd go to James Gunn.
That's what the show is for, the authority.
That's what I'm saying. The problem is you need somebody in this position that's going to say, these are the stories that I want. But this is not what the audience wants to see. And Snyder had no idea where to take the people past the Justice League, which is why the universe fell apart. But what Snyder did understand is, first and foremost, people want to see Superman. People want to see Batman because the two have never converged. They want to see The Flash, and they want to see Wonder Woman in the cinematic formula. They want to see Cyborg, and they want to see Aquaman. They want to see Martian Manhunter. They want to see all these kids that they grew up with on the Saturday morning cartoons, and they want to see them converge, and they want it to be epic. And from there, you can tell a story. And the problem is, James Gunn says, all right, when I walked into the comic book shop and they were having a $5 sale on these comic books, and I closed my eyes and I picked this comic out, I actually ended up enjoying the comic. That's how I'm feeling. These are the stories that I want to tell. Mm-hmm. You're abandoning just objectively what the audience is at the theater to feel and experience in a comic book movie, which is something they're familiar with.
Yep.
And I'm not saying people aren't familiar with the authority. I'm not saying people don't want to see Hal Jordan pass the mantle off to Jon Stewart. I'm not saying people don't even want to see something like Booster Gold or Swamp Thing. But what I am saying is, in order for you to be able to push the envelope, you have to get people in off the simple basis objectively of familiarity. You have to reach the people that say, I know that symbol. I know the Joker. I know Wonder Woman. And then you can be like, oh, who's Booster Gold? I don't know, but I see him hanging around Wonder Woman. I'll get to know him. Mm-hmm. And that's how the MCU succeeded. And James Gunn took about 2 or 3 simple steps to creating these universes, and he mixed them up in the wrong order. And that's why we have the situation we're in.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's my point here is, in a world where you need like a big boy to tell you, hey, I know this is what you want, but this is what the audience needs to see first. You like a businessman. I'm not saying I want these universes to be run by a money-hungry media conglomerate. But what I am saying is, at a certain point, you need like a numbers guy to be like, this is what pulls in the most money over the last 50 years. This is the story people want to see. We got to do it. And you have, unfortunately, a fan filmmaker in James Gunn, the guy who went to the comic books on Sunday afternoons, and he bought comics at random, and he fell in love with random characters no one had heard of, and now he's in a place of power, and he's trying to create stories that only he wants to see, where he can cast his wife, and he can cast John Cena, and he can cast his brother and everything, and it's like we don't have to hop on the hype train.
Like Doc Ock is a big character because of Spider-Man. So if you never saw Doc Ock and then you got a show of Doc Ock, you don't really care about Doc Ock because you don't have the connection from the top end.
And also,
so it's like a pyramid, and you start at the top and work your way down.
And you should also, in that same vein, not be told that you're like not a committed fan if you're not seated for a Doc Ock show.
No one is. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too with the time as well to talk about that, and also with the people you're choosing. The X-Men and Marvel right now, that's what DC needs to take a page out of their book for. Look at what's happening. You don't see them trying to cast. Oh, we got the Jubilee casting. We got the I don't even know, like crazy stuff, right? They're focusing on, hey, here is your Cyclops, here's your Jean Grey, and also the last X-Men movie of the failing universe that they had came out when 2019. That was the last time. You have now, by the time this movie comes out, it's going to be 2028 or 2029. That's a long that's 9 or 10 years.
You took some time away.
So there's hype behind it because now you've taken that big gap. I just don't understand why we're so against something that simple. Like, to me, the formula is
the competitive
easy.
thing.
Because the problem is sometimes with storytelling is figuring out something that can be compelling. You know that this can be compelling. You're just not doing the things that are compelling. So it's just really funny to me because you basically have been gifted something into your lap and you're just doing nothing with it.
And we've talked about it before, but I would really seriously argue that if they're in the right hands, the DC catalog of characters is more compelling than Marvel.
I disagree, but
Marvel has maybe a less compelling catalog that's been more carefully managed by people who know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, the catalog is based on, yes, comics, but also like what they end up doing with it to make you feel something. Because Iron Man could be nothing, but they make you feel something. So now he's huge. So I don't think it really matters what exactly it is on paper as much as just what people feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so if you feel nothing, like, what
are you going to do?
Not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
It's not.
So anyway.
Unfortunately, DC... It needs to start with the recognition that they're never going to be in the place that Marvel is.
Which is why they got to stop mooching off the people that have worked at Marvel.
That's what I'm saying,
So
dude.
you got to start with just a completely fresh take, almost.
The world needs to ultimately come to the acceptance point that James Gunn is not the reason the Guardians succeeded. He might have been the best person to direct them at that time, and he's the only way that trilogy worked. But the reason the stories were well received in the first place is because Marvel was hitting at such a strong
It's Kevin Feige
point
mixed in with James Gunn.
It's
the two of them pairing of timing and yes, James Gunn direction, yes, but like
James Gunn's direction made Guardians what they were down the line, but the only reason those stories were received in the first place is because of where Marvel was at.
Right.
And unfortunately, James Gunn got big-headed somewhere along the way and convinced himself that any rando character that he just threw in the pot, people would receive. Because at the time he tried it with Marvel, Marvel could have introduced a Peggy Carter project. In fact, they did, and have it be the most talked about thing while it was airing. You know what I mean?
He's just the guy. Like, again, he made Guardians 3, which I regard as one of my favorite
It's
superhero
awesome.
movies. I think it's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Recently, he made that. I think the problem's not the ideas. He's the type of guy that has a billion ideas, and you need to take about 10% of them, and they're going to be fantastic.
That's exactly what
they're
I'm
going to
saying.
be fantastic.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I wish somebody was there to sift through it, and I don't understand why there's not more of a leaning and urgency to try and figure out who that could be. Because do you really want to give him the full leash through Man of Tomorrow? I'd say that's the max you can give him. At this point,
I would give him a seat at the table for decisions, but I would not make him the creative director of anything beyond Superman.
Yeah, sure. Let him be Superman. Let him do Superman.
Let him do Superman because he understands fundamentally that Superman is a good, kind character.
He can't be directing Superman and then dictating, oh, this person's directing that. No, I don't want that.
Right.
He can direct Superman and somebody else can figure out the mapping out and who's directing what.
Safran or whatever his name is, Peter Safran.
I still don't.
You need a business guy.
I think, yeah, but I still think you need somebody else.
You need a business guy.
Clearly, whatever they've got internally is not good enough.
You need just a business guy. And I'm not saying this because I'm like some like toxic masculinity guy, but for characters like a Batman or like a Cyborg or whatever, you need like a guy who's like, these are the cool things.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are just the objectively cool things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like
yeah,
a Matt Reeves.
Yeah, you have Matt Reeves who's like, this is you make Batman look cool. Batman needs a hallway scene.
Mm-hmm.
Batman needs to be driving his Batmobile through a ball of flaming debris,
right?
And then flipping Penguin's car and walking upside down like a freaking bat towards like you need a guy that's just like, this is what looks freaking awesome.
Yes.
And James Gunn is just like he's just like the comic book diehard that should have never been given keys to the car. And now we're in deep weeds.
That's right.
So now we just watch the house.
That was
burn.
our quick Galactic Transmissions.
Now we watch the house burn from the yard, from the front yard.
We might have to rename this episode. I think we should just rename it like James Gunn's done it again.
We're done.
He's at it again.
We're done with Gunn.
Done with Gunn. We should do that. I think we should move into Oak Street.
I think so.
The end of
Before
Oak
I say anything else to get myself in trouble.
Yeah, there's not really much we need to say spoiler wise. So for those people that usually want to maybe watch the movie and come back, I swear we won't really say anything.
There's like a twist or
There's
two,
like
but
one thing I probably want to mention, but it'll probably take 2 minutes, and we'll give a clear spoiler warning.
we'll wave our hands and kick our feet.
That's right.
Yeah. You want to go in? Rating?
Let's do it.
Do a little rating?
Ready? Our rating of the end of Oak Street. 3, 2, 1.
Easy 5. Just a flat 5 right down the...
I'm going to go 4.5.
Oh, there you go. It's slightly more pessimistic.
I'll say something.
Sure.
I got dragged in a little bit to I got dragged into peer pressure a little bit, dude. I saw the movie last night, didn't see a single trailer, didn't see a single review, didn't see anything.
Yeah, me either.
Literally saw the trailer, just that there was a dinosaur. Okay?
That's all you knew?
That's all I knew. I knew it was dinosaur and Ewan McGregor, Anne Hathaway. So we go in, I watched it,
Prada.
and I thought, this freaking stinks. I thought this stinks out loud. I watched it. Most reviews, I'm not saying people love it, but most people were like, yeah, it was solid. That's kind of the general consensus. Like a 7 out of 10 kind of thing. And a lot of people that are very critical of film were saying that. And I was like, did I miss the mark? I don't know. So I would have gone 4 last night, but I saw those people and I went 4.5. I gave them a half. Because I'm like, maybe there's something. I had the lowest rating of anyone on Letterboxd.
That can't be.
Of any people I follow.
Really?
Yeah. And
No
I was like,
kidding.
what is going on? So maybe I missed something,
No.
but
You didn't.
I thought this is some of the worst dialogue I've heard this year. It was
100%.
abysmal. I thought some of the acting performances were really bad or really off. Some of the ways it was shot, there was a couple points with the camera angles that you and I were laughing so hard at. I don't even know how to explain this to people that haven't seen
they
it.
were having a family meeting where they were
They're
all
sitting
in like a
4
circle.
ways. Yes, they're like 4 across, almost like and they would cut so that you'd be looking at one person, but it was like enough that you would just see the side of the person's face, and they'd be looking. So like half of the image is just their face up close, just from the side. But then they'd like look over this way, and it would just be their face just like halfway in the screen, almost like it was your peripheral vision, and someone like you're looking forward, and somebody just came up to you and stood right next to your face, and you're like, dude, what's going? Like it was just so. It was like they were trying to go so interesting with like different camera angles, but I thought they all sucked.
Yeah, you could tell it was like they were like, "Oh, this has never been done before." Like
Yes.
the camera was very clearly on the person that was behind the person talking, so it's almost like the camera wanted you to believe that the focus should be on the person behind the person in the foreground, but the person was so in the foreground that it was like you couldn't.
So distracted.
But the thing is, like, even though the person behind them was the focus of the shot, and they were the one talking, like they would be blurred, and the camera would instead be focused on the person who's like only their eye was visible because of how close it was. It was very weird.
It was really.
I've
weird.
never seen a camera
it was,
angle.
It
like
was so interesting that I was laughing my head off.
that. Yeah,
about
you
it.
were bent over
I was
laughing, dude.
really laughing about it. Which again, I love. I love seeing movies with you when we watch them. It's like 11:30 at night, and we're sitting there. Like I love doing that because my like ability to be at normal self is gone.
Sure.
So things like that crack me up so much. You know.
Yeah.
I was getting such a hoot out of it. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I really don't know what to say. Some of the kid performances,
Oh my gosh.
the son,
Oh my gosh.
holy cow, it was really bad.
Waffle House is calling, buddy.
It was
Arby's would like a word. Pack it up, dude.
I thought it was really bad. The whole like plot of like what's actually going on is never explained. There's
No.
kind of is no plot really, other
No.
than just like survive.
And there's a
they
lot of
kind
it-
of say that.
And there's a lot of exposition dumps, where there's no news, or there's no way of you as an audience figuring out what the technicalities of the story are. So you'll have moments where the characters are like, "Oh, so this is happening. So this must mean that scientifically speaking, this is happening." And none of the characters have any experience in like science or this
yeah.
and that. So it's like they're coming to these like really intellectual like conclusions all
Yes.
by themselves, and it's like it's very clear that the story's like, all right, this is the point where you as an audience should have figured something out, but because there's no way you could do that, we're gonna just give you it through the dialogue.
Yeah, but there like is no anything. Like there was no actual direction other than saying, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Like
Yeah.
they go to get home, we need to take this random thing that doesn't exist. That probably exists somewhere here.
Yeah.
Why in the world would you assume that?
Yeah. Right. There's no way that you would know.
Why in the world would you assume
Right.
that? And it's also the most dumb, like cookie cutter storytelling device to use of
Yeah.
like what actually happened. And it's so stupid. Like there is no cool reveal of this, except for the very end where you're like, I don't even know if that makes sense. It's not cool enough at all. It doesn't make your head like spin. You're just kind of like, are we serious? And you didn't
Yeah.
set it up anyway. Like I'm so sick of this. I said this with Disclosure Day. I'm so sick of movies thinking that you can just add a random twist at the very end that makes it account for all the rest of it that doesn't add up at all, and it just makes it seem like, oh yeah, that's cool. It's really cool that because the end took some weird twist. It doesn't even make sense.
Right.
You just throw it in there because you know your story has no substance. So you put it in there because that's the only thing you can do to make you feel like you did something.
It's the wow factor thing. You can't assume a wow factor moment will account for a completely like bereft of content story.
Mhm.
Like you can't assume that me having my jaw on the floor because of how hard you just gave me whiplash over how fast the story changed on a twist moment like will account for the fact that the movie hasn't made sense for the last 50 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like the relationships and storytelling themes that they're going for are like really horribly done. Really horribly done. And the action, it gets very grotesque, but never directly. It's always on the sides of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Except for like one point. But I never felt scared. I never
Nope.
felt like I cared for any of the characters. Honest to goodness,
There was a
wanted
jump
most
scare
of-
too, but just because of how loud the sound design
It was so loud, and there was nothing happening in the scene. Like,
Yeah.
literally nothing. Not where
Yeah.
you're like anticipating something. It just came out of nowhere. I wanted most of the characters to die. To be honest with you, I was hoping they would.
I
like,
had that thought.
I was
You know what's
hoping
funny?
at many points that they
There was a
would get
moment
chopped.
where Anne Hathaway was running in the yard, and I was like, I don't think I've ever wanted like a group of protagonists to bite the dust more than I have with these family members. Like all four of these people are just
Right.
completely deserving
awful.
of getting
Yeah.
eaten by a dinosaur right now.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so many points too where a dinosaur steps outside the house. This is my like really I don't know, random gripe, but a dinosaur steps outside the house and the whole house trembles.
Yeah.
Shakes violently. Other times they're walking down a street and a dinosaur will walk up behind them, not creeping, but just walks up behind them. And they have no idea until
Silent.
what? It's ridiculous. It's just
And like the dinosaur will be like right here peeking down, and they'll just be like, "Yeah, so y'all want dinner later?" and this and that, and then they'll and it's like
And-
ridiculous,
yes,
dude.
and always the dinosaurs are they're just taking their sweet time,
Yeah.
getting down there to get them.
Yeah.
Until the people start running,
Hey,
they
what are we
go
talking
after
about?
them, and then like there's a scene where the dinosaur's running after him. There's this small tree on the side. The tree brushes up against the dinosaur, and the dinosaur goes like he's all distraught. Dude, come on! Like he was just running through the forest a second ago. What are
Right.
you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just I felt like it was so ridiculous.
And these dinosaurs are like taking bullet shots and these bullet rounds and these and that, and then like a character will hit one in the ankle with a hammer, and then like the thing will just go tumbling down.
yeah, it'll
it's
like
a lot of-
scream this loud. Yeah,
It's
yell.
a lot of plot convenience. It's
Yes,
a lot of
it
like
is.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
yeah,
It felt to me like it was Anne Hathaway getting a nice check.
yeah, definitely.
I felt like Anne Hathaway was,
specifically.
Yes, she was like, "Hey, I can do an easy role," and she's fine in this. She's fine.
Yeah.
She's fine.
It's Anne Hathaway. She almost plays the same character
However,
in every movie. but-
her and Ewan McGregor's relationship, they set this up in the first 2 seconds of the movie that they have these relationship problems as a mom and dad for their kids. They can't figure out their marriage, and it is one of the dumbest like resolutions I've ever seen for how they figure stuff out. I couldn't even believe all this stuff. Like, it was just utterly ridiculous.
You know what's funny is I actually think that End of Oak Street is in a lot of ways like what I was hoping Disclosure Day would be. Like I was kind of hoping going into Disclosure Day that with the whole emphasis on like alien life and this and that it would be one of those like, oh, creature comes to Earth and the people are running and there's this and that and there's a lot of hijinks and action set pieces and a great score with a lot of fast-paced sequences that push everything along. And even if there isn't some like legendary conclusion to it, like at least it'll be like a fun summer flick. And in a lot of ways, I actually think that it executed that. Like I felt like, as badly as we walked out of Disclosure Day, wishing they leaned more into the fantastical stuff, like they did that here. I mean, it's a sci-fi movie, so to speak. It leans a lot into the creatures, and as the movie goes on, you get a lot of like great chase sequences. The problem is, I think at a certain point that becomes like the only thing the movie's good for, and I think that's where it kind of falls apart. Like when you have no substance to your story, to where it becomes just one dino chase sequence after another. They lose the one dinosaur and they round a corner and there's another dinosaur there in their way and they have to run back because that dinosaur's chasing them now and they're just getting pinballed up this street and in this neighborhood from T-Rex to pterodactyl to this and that, and then the movie just kind of ends in the way that it does. I don't know. It kind of feels like it's one of those things where it definitely feels like the budget went entirely into just executing the visual effects that the creative team had in their brains, rather than like telling some modern classic or a spin on like the Jurassic Park formula. And so I don't even want to say it's a bummer because it's not one of those movies you walk into with any expectations. Again, I knew as much as you did going into it, but it's one of those things where you see like how it maybe could have been better. Even if you don't care enough to be like bummed out that they didn't execute in that way. I think, it definitely could have been better. I think you could have been a little bit more, I don't want to say realistic, but like, just logical about how you implemented the dinosaurs. I think you could have been a little more honest with how little you should expect the audience to care about the human characters, and maybe been a little bit more bold with like the risks you took with them. Like you could have maybe killed a couple of them off and just left it that way. I think like there's a couple things you could have done, but I think that it was missing something, and it just felt very average. It wasn't so bad that I hated it, but it also wasn't so good that I was like, this was worth sitting in at 11 p.m. on a Thursday. But
the acting performances were not good enough, I think.
No,
because every time something very scary was happening, they acted like it was like they had the same amount of fear that Indiana Jones does running from a couple Indians in the forest. Like a little bit, but like he knows he's kind of got control.
Sure.
They should absolutely be terrified by what's going on, and they're not. Like, so how can I be terrified if they're not?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many situations that were going on. They panned to the kid, and it was that one son, but both the kids would be like, no. And then the stupid dog, Starbuck, no. It just doesn't work for me, man. It just doesn't work when you have that level.
And can I be honest, like in that situation, like if I'm in a town and suddenly there's just dinosaurs like on my street, like my head's on a swivel at all times. I'm not in my kitchen looking for, where'd I leave that paring knife? And there's a giant eel in my kitchen, and my head's not like every 2 seconds being like, I thought I heard something. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain points where characters are just like locked in like it's another day at the office, and I'm like, dude, there's dinosaurs outside of your house. You know what I mean?
The only scene I liked that they kind of encapsulated a little bit was there's a scene with Anne Hathaway where something really shocking happens like out of nowhere, and they pan to her, and she almost isn't scared. She's just genuinely so shocked at what she just saw. That was the only time I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
Because that was a point where that's exactly how you would react at first before like grief. You'd be like...
Unfortunately, if it's the moment I'm thinking you're talking about, like it's the first sequence like that. Like it's the first sequence where a character exhibits fear like that, and then from then on, it kind of becomes like
because it's a different type of fear. It's like I can't even believe it.
Like initial shock. Yeah.
Yes, I liked that scene a lot because of that. But
and from there, it kind of just goes into shock or shtick rather. Just almost like in certain aspects, it's like played off comedically.
Dude, they're laughing a lot of the time.
I know a character's sitting on the toilet and there's just like a giant snake slithering by, and it's just like, I just happened to look out the window when the snake slithered by. It's like all kind of played off like a joke a little bit.
Right.
But then there's other points where a character's head's getting bit off and you're like supposed to be scared again. So it's like, it
goes all over.
Yeah. And so there were scary points where people were laughing, And then like comedic points where people were like, "What in the world?"
Dude, I'm not gonna lie though, the comedic points in this movie, there was like it was like we were at a comedy show, and like the people in our audience were mostly older people actually.
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
most part.
Yeah.
They felt bad for the person, like they really wanted to laugh and they felt bad, and that's what it felt like to me. Like it
Yeah.
was laughs that were not actually laughs. They were like, ha ha.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
there was, I thought the comedy fell so flat. in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Like took me so out of it.
100%. Yeah,
Which is
100%.
not funny.
I don't know, man. There's not too much to say. It's just
No,
another
that's
summer
kind of it.
movie,
That
another
was it.
summer blockbuster. Yeah.
You
bummer.
satisfied with that?
Yeah, I mean, a couple twists in there, but there was one twist I really respected them for going for it, but then they undid it.
Get right. Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this real fast?
Yeah, this is a spoiler.
Spoiler. Skip 2 minutes. I'm gonna try and do timestamps this episode. I've been telling people I've been wanting to lock in on that, so I'll
Nice.
get this one locked
Yep.
for this time. I couldn't believe that what they did there. Do you want to say this?
Yeah, there's a sequence where Anne Hathaway's character, you think she's finally cornered, and then Ewan McGregor's character, as her husband, like he comes in to save the day, and she escapes, and you get the whole thing, and you're like, all right, we'll just run. Well, then he starts to kind of run, and then immediately he's bit in half. First, his leg gets bit off, and then he just gets eaten.
Yeah.
And it happens in 5 seconds. This character is just gone.
But like,
There's no build up.
Anne's also just standing next to the dinosaur at this time too. She's
Yes.
not like fully escaped either. They're both just standing there next to the dinosaur, and he's just chomping on.
Really
Ewan.
great, really shocking moment. Like,
Right.
because there's no build up to it.
Well, they bite his leg at first, and you're like, man, how's this guy gonna keep going? Like,
Right.
what are they gonna do? And then, boom, just second swoop.
Yes.
You're like, oh,
Yes. But then
Oh.
at the end they get transported back to the real world and they realize that they've been transported back 20 minutes before the events happened in the first place. And so they realize that they can go not only alert everybody to get out of the town, but they can also go get their Ewan McGregor's character back, the husband.
Mhm.
And so he comes driving up the hill and it's a big reunion scene and he doesn't realize why they're all happy and this and that. And it's like played off like a tender moment, but it's like he just died 15 minutes earlier. So you're like,
yes.
you know, the one bold swing you took that maybe could have been like, all right, well, at least the movie stunk, but I remember respecting that they did this. It's like you just took that away from yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So
And
just
the only
just a bummer.
lesson that's learned is Anne Hathaway learns that she likes her husband. That's
Yeah,
kind of the
she
lesson.
learns how to be in a loving relationship.
It's
again.
just kind of, but like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
reasons for it is kind of dumb. Like
Right.
they just kind of get trauma bonding, and then they're like,
That's
I guess
yeah.
I
we
like
didn't
you.
Even, we didn't even fix our problems. Yeah, we just
Right.
kind of
You just kind of moved on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, which is so dumb. And
Mhm.
also the other thing that threw me off is basically they're transported back in time where Ewan's alive. So you know then from that it's not just the people that lived, it's not only the people that died, it's everybody that was there before is there again.
Yeah,
That's what we learned.
the whole town.
Yet Anne Hathaway now and her kids are here back as the only people that know about this in this moment.
Right in the girl.
So they call to let all the people know to get out the heck out of there. So then she just snatches Ewan to be her husband. And I'm like, so what happened with the other versions of themselves? Did they just let them die?
So the other versions of themselves, and then the girl that they befriend along the way. It's like, so then did she tell the parents, "Hey, leave your daughter"?
Right. Like what happened there?
Yeah,
Why is there no duplicates?
That's really
or did
interesting.
they just let them die?
I guess.
And also, like, yeah, the whole
guess,
thing
dude.
was weird to me. I didn't really like the twist because it could have been really
And
cool.
so, can I ask you this then? Here's my other question: are they stuck in a perpetual loop then, where those three get transported, they find a way out, and then they come and
Do it again.
are they stuck in a loop?
Would that not imply that?
We might need the end of Oak Street too to solve this problem.
Oh.
What
But see,
happens
again,
if-
that's the problem I have is it's so frustrating because I don't think they even know. You
Oh.
talk about, is there an end of Oak Street 2? Like, I
Mm.
think they set something up like that, and you go,
Hmm.
what do you think it is? They might be like, I think it could be this or that. They don't
Yeah,
know.
they don't know either.
And that's the
They
problem.
were just trying to tell a fun dino story.
When you make a direction like that, very rarely does it work unless it's an Inception type of thing where you flip it where it's like, hey, here's a teetering line, or the end of Brand New Day, where again, it's like it could go either way. And it's like so kind of minuscule that both work, you know? When you don't do that, when you just present a ending that's like on a cliffhanger, if you don't actually know, then I'm sorry, get out of here.
Right.
If you don't have a good idea what it probably is, or you can equally argue both from the movie, I'm sorry.
Great point, dude. I have nothing to add to that. Yeah.
The end of Oak Street. Is
how
that the end?
Well, how
Oak
would you?
Street?
So how would you rate End of Oak Street on a scale of 1 to 2 dino backshots? two
Two out of two.
whole back shots.
What the heck? You gotta do just like a funny like the mute thing when you do that. You should do like a little bleep.
I'll do like a
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. There it is. Do
2 out of 2.
Do you want to talk about X-Men?
Yeah, sure. X-Men 97 just wrapped. Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2. Seasons 3 and 4 are coming, so
Do you want to do a rating?
stay tuned. Yeah.
I did the first one. Do you want to do the second one? Announce it.
Our rating of X-Men 97 Season 2. 3, 2, 1.
8 out of 10.
The fun part of me that wanted to do a numbers thing, I wanted so badly to say 9.7. But the honest part of me,
7.9.
I was gonna say 7.9.
I'll be honest. I was in between 7.8 to 8. That was where I was going. And
I
decided
think
to
I
just
gotta go
round up to 8.
7.9. I don't think it crosses into 8 territory for me, dude.
Okay.
Is it me? Am I the problem?
No.
I'm
I'm fine with that.
What did I miss?
I enjoyed specific things in the show a lot. Like very specific things in the show.
Yeah, like
and there was a lot of
scenes.
specific things I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Like when I say things I enjoyed, I really enjoyed these things. But then again, there was just a lot of episodes that just felt like not slop, but it's just so much that they throw at you to the point where we get to the finale of the show, and I think I could count 56 X-Men that are on screen that are all doing side quests to like come together. But like they've all been so confusing to me because you're going in and out of time. Which again, that was part of we covered the first 4 episodes, and
We did. That was the last time we talked about the show.
I loved the first 4 episodes.
Amazing.
I loved 2, 3, and 4 so much.
All the setup
3
for
and 4
Apocalypse.
were incredible.
Awesome.
We set up Apocalypse. You're in all these different 3 situations are in different time periods. They then kind of just jump forward. A lot of times they just get into situations where you're like, how do we just get from where were we there and now we're here? And that was like a problem. And
I'm
I know.
watching Anakin's head.
I know, sorry. I'll try and stop rotating.
No, dude. I was getting a kick out of it.
But you're dealing with all this where it's things are bouncing around. And then you kind of are just like, how did we get there?
Sure.
And you kind of just have to learn to accept it. And a lot of the themes are really good, and a lot of the stories are really good. It's just, it felt too chaotic to me, and I feel like they didn't weave it together well enough. And I feel like ultimately they set up Apocalypse so well in episode 3 and 4, and then really didn't deliver on it. You don't even see Apocalypse really behind something until the end of episode 8.
Yeah.
So
And then it's just the ghost of Apocalypse, kind of.
right, and then it's not even Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Really. Spoiler warning for X-Men 97.
Yeah.
It's not even him, it's Remy. And then it's episode 9 is just that same thing. And all it is just, can you separate him from that? And then you and I watched the finale together, actually. And they harness Apocalypse, essentially. And what did they put him into?
They put him into, it looked like a That Was Easy button from Staples. They just condemned him to a That Was Easy button. And you even see like his face, like he's screaming. It looked like a Harry Potter gadget or something.
Right. And is he gone?
No.
He's not. But
Nobody's ever gone.
The big bad that they always win. All it
We
took
can't
was,
defeat him. He just killed Magneto.
They don't even have like a big fight. It's just he kind of claps them, takes them, and then Rogue comes down and just pulls Remy out, and that's it. That's it. And the whole story of Cable's the one that needs to defeat him. Cable is the one doing the worst in all of this.
And am I crazy if
But he's also right.
If I'm choosing a deceased X-Men member to bring back to life, I'm not choosing Gambit. I'm choosing Magneto. Like I'm shocked you didn't find some way to. I know he kind of made it so that he couldn't come back unless you did like a time travel thing.
But why Remy?
Remy was interesting, and he's powerful. He's the most powerful we've ever seen Gambit. But like, my least favorite thing a show does is when they start off rip roaring, and then they're so confident that they can land the plane that they allow themselves to fall off track for like 3 or 4 episodes in between, because they're like, as long as we stick the landing, we can go wherever we want. And so you have like side quests all throughout, but then at the end, in the last 20 minutes, we just bring everything back. Oh, the big bad that remember him from episode 4? He's back. Oh yeah, I forgot about him because we were dealing with all these other. We
50 other X-Men variants that are now forming the X Corp, the X Force, the X.
We had the X
Pack.
We had the X Mansion training bot come to life and become like an Ultron villain for an episode, and we fought him or her or whatever it was. It's like when a show is so confident in their ability to land the plane that they allow themselves to take the audience on like a nothing burger of a roller coaster ride in between, it irritates me a little bit. And I get off track. And I think the reason the first season worked so well is because it was just a cohesive start to finish, building and building and building, and then a really great, satisfying ending that also set up for more, frankly. And this sets up for some stuff, but it really felt like it could also have bookended the series quite well. And I just kind of felt like it was, they really built up Apocalypse to be like the biggest thing they've ever faced. And then they kind of defeat him in about 3 minutes.
After not using him.
Yeah.
Like they could have easily made it such a big thing.
And it's also a weird thing because it's like Rogue is confronting Gambit in his mind, but the only reason Gambit was in a mental war was because Charles was communicating.
Right.
So somehow Rogue had the ability to enter Charles's mind to enter Gambit's to extract him from Apocalypse's mind. It was all very weird.
It was weird. And the fact that you actually only see regular Apocalypse on screen for about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like in episode 4. That's it.
Yeah.
Like he's not even really in this.
Right.
And
felt kind of weird.
It is weird. And it kind of doesn't make sense why he would just want to go into Remy's body. We don't get any of that explained.
Right.
I almost think had they let the episode end with that moment of him having control of all the X-Men surrounding Charles Xavier, that would have been the coolest way to end it.
Awesome.
How freaking cool would that have been?
Really cool.
I still would have felt like they dragged their feet and should have done more during the season, so it wouldn't have changed that. But it would have changed my expectation of what I saw with the Apocalypse.
100%. Oh, 100%.
It's like the Kang getting run over by ants thing. Like, yeah, it's a variant. Yes, Apocalypse will probably come back, but you've already left that taste on my mouth of what just happened there that I don't buy anything else.
And also, can I be honest? They didn't build up Charles's like ultimate confrontation like mentally with Apocalypse enough that like it made sense that suddenly he was powerful enough to almost like exorcise him from Gambit. Like it didn't make sense that like there was no diving deep really into Charles like navigating the loss of Magneto. Like there was a little bit, like a couple sequences in the episode after it happened, but there was not enough build up to where you really saw Charles take that step to take Apocalypse on in that way.
Yeah.
And it just felt weird, dude, and I'm bummed because
it felt flat.
I really believe in this show.
I think they got a little too
sure of themselves.
Well, yes, and I think the main writer from season 1 was not back for season 2.
Yeah, he got canned.
I will say, I think shows a little bit. I almost feel like the show got, when I say ego about it, is the ability to feel like you can throw a million things at us and make it all cool.
That's what I'm saying.
And they threw a million here. Well, if you thought a million before was in season 1, it's 2.5 million. And it just feels so chaotic.
I don't think either of us are dumb viewers. I don't think we need to have our hands held through things. I felt the need to have my hand held through the entirety of this season.
Yeah.
It like didn't stop moving and building and reminding you of people and bringing people back that were dead before. And like anytime you thought that like the roster was kind of getting cleaned up a bit and reorganized, like they just were like, hey, but these people are still around.
Yeah.
And it just like, man, there was just a lot going on.
Yes.
It was hard to keep track of.
I've read comics. I've never read X-Men comics. I've read very specific things.
They're just as dense, make no mistake.
Well, yeah. So what I was going to say is I don't have a big background. Like I'm not going to claim to be. You've always been a little more geared that way with understanding these characters on deeper levels and also having just the built-in experience. I always feel like the biggest mistake they've made with Marvel is with X-Men is how confusing this whole verse is. Like not just the fact that they have all different powers, but there's so many people that are similar enough, but they kind of come out of nowhere. And there's so much lore to the X-Men that it's almost so hard to wrap your mind around everything in once unless you're going to literally study it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's really it. You almost need to be book smart to understand the X-Men.
Right. You have to actually put some time into thinking what exactly is which character. You'd probably have to pause the episode, go through and look at it, watch it a second time, and then you'd get it.
Yeah, man. But I wish I had more to say. I love this show. I believe in it. It'll be back with 2 more seasons at least, and I know they're going to rock. Maybe like
Yeah.
to your point, maybe they shouldn't have fired that original writer though, because I think he
I think
had
he might have
had a
moved
little bit more
on. I
sauce.
thought he moved on.
Oh, did he leave?
himself. I thought so. I don't know
Interesting.
though.
Well,
Maybe
however
they
that
did.
went, it's a
Yeah.
bummer that he
He
wasn't
just
there.
wasn't doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I would actually change my rating to like 7.6 now that we're doing it. To be honest.
Yeah,
with
I
you.
think like 7, 8, 7,
Because
9
I
for
do,
me.
I still really enjoy a lot of what you do get, and like I said, 3 and 4 are fantastic. 8
Mhm.
and 9 are great episodes in themselves. They are great episodes. It just, I'm gonna do it again. In a vacuum, they're great. It's just again when you have the 5, 6, 7 run of not a ton other than just that reveal of Remy, like that's it, or Gambit. I don't know, but
Yeah, there was just a
I'm good with that conversation.
I think I am
I
too.
just wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. Here's to
We gotta
season
talk
3.
about it.
Hopefully it's hopefully it's a little bit better. Hopefully it's a hair better, a
Mhm.
smidge better.
That's right.
But yeah, we got our game. You want to go
Yeah.
into our game?
Do it. You came up with this.
You want me
so
to explain
please,
this?
Yeah, please
We're
announce.
playing Wouldya Couldya. Wouldya Couldya. How many times have you walked out of a movie experience or a TV experience and you've thought to yourself that was like just 1 or 2 details shy of perfect? So our game today, Wouldya Couldya, we're basically going to be, you and I have each handpicked. We haven't really talked with the other person about it. We've handpicked 2 projects that are just shy of perfection, or have a glaring detail within them that keeps them from being in a great movie conversation.
Mhm.
That we're going to tweak 1 or 2 key details to send it over the top.
Mhm.
And so this is going to be a game of hypotheticals. It's called Wouldya Couldya because as the age-old saying goes, it's like whenever you're talking about like, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that, I could have done this with that, and people are like, oh, well, it's too late for that now. Well, this is a game where we get to go as far as we want with it. So, however you feel, whatever details you feel you would tweak to make your projects perfect. I'm curious what projects you picked. I'm curious what details you would change to make them that much greater. We're gonna dive right in. This is our first installment, and hopefully not our last of Wouldya Couldya.
I like Wouldya Couldya. Let's
You
go.
wanna- you wanna
What
kick
an
things
intro
off?
for that, by the
You
way.
wanna-
That just got me feeling chills, man. All right.
Chills over Wouldya. You wanna,
So I have my 2 projects. I'm going to start. I just wanted to make sure I remembered the names. Okay, I did. Okay. I'm going to start with Gladiator 2. Both of my movies are 2020s movies. I'm going to start with Gladiator 2. Now, this movie's not the worst thing. Like, a lot of people like this movie a lot. A lot of people, I think the consensus was that it was all right.
Yeah.
It was a fine sequel.
Yeah.
However, the biggest problem for me above anything else in this movie is what they do to the legacy of Maximus. Because the whole first movie is set up on the fact that he is this guy that's out for not just revenge, but he's out to avenge the Roman Empire, to put them back on where they should be, because it's not going the direction he wants, but also because he was all about going back to his wife. That's the whole point of everything he's doing, is that he can go to his wife and son. And because he's a devoted man to her, and they kill her, and that's all he had. And so this whole story is building the fact that now he's just trying to get to the end of the story and get Rome back where it should be, and then he wants to go see his wife and kid, and he's okay with the death that he faces at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful because all of that ties into the relationship with his wife and kid that he's chasing after. And then you get to Gladiator 2, and it's revealed essentially that he at some point had to have had an affair with the other lady to
Yeah, what is her name? I can't even remember.
yeah,
And
I'm pulling up her name.
I love Gladiator. I can't even-
Lucia.
Yes.
To Lucia to then get Lucius, his son Lucius.
Sure.
And I feel like when you do sequels, so often it's like, oh, we can only do it where it's a son of the this or son of that.
Right.
I think if you make the change that instead of that being if Lucius being the son of Maximus, you make him a complete random that just happened to be there watching this in the crowd with his parents. Like maybe he doesn't even have parents. Maybe he's just a stray on the street. So I think in Gladiator 1, you have it set up so much that Maximus is royalty in Rome. Even if they're not treating him like it now, he was the top commander. This guy is at the height. You almost then make the second one that this guy is at the very bottom, but he was just so inspired by what Maximus did
Interesting.
that now he sees that, and this whole journey he goes through kind of leads to him going to the same result as it because he's just so inspired by this character. And I think it changes the whole complexion for me of my problems with it. Being a thing of him having an affair, because that undermines the whole point of the first one. But also it gives you even, I think, a more compelling story to tell. That you get it, that it's less about it just because it's his dad. I mean, I know he is going for it before he knows it's his dad. But I think just having that detail makes it even more impactful. Here's
Interesting.
a rundown guy that goes from rags to riches in getting into the arena.
Interesting, dude. Okay. I'm into it. I'm into it. So it's almost like everything they thought that Maximus was when he returned to Rome. Like that is what Lucius proves to be. Like he just stays that way.
Yes.
Hmm.
But he isn't that originally. But the big glaring thing as far as what the direct change that needs to happen is he cannot be the son of Maximus.
Sure.
Lucius being the son of Maximus ruins the whole plot of Gladiator 1.
Right. It ruins his motivations.
It ruins the motivation, and I feel like it sets Gladiator 2 up to just fail instantly for me.
Right.
And I feel like if you make that change, then you can also make that deeper storytelling to just really add in there.
I'm into that, dude. I'm into it. I dig it.
Okay.
And I like Gladiator too. But I agree that like him being the son of Maximus almost challenges Maximus's morality. Like the structure of who he is as a character.
Which is what makes the first one so good.
Right. He's willing to die
Because
because
he
he
has-
knows it's going to reunite him with his family, like you said. So the fact that like...
Yes, and all of it is because he's just an
Yeah.
upstanding character.
Oh, that's
Which is
interesting.
the whole point of the first one. They keep saying, I know you are this guy that like we've been seeing. Like we need you to be this guy. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then he's like, I guess I am. And he proves it.
Interesting, dude.
So
Yeah,
then
you're...
you can't be like, oh yeah, well he's actually sleeping with this other woman.
Right,
though,
sure.
The whole time.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. All right, what's your other one? You want to go with the other one?
No,
you
you-
want
I
to do the
feel
first
like-
two, or we go back
No,
and
you
forth?
go.
All right. So the first one, and I hate to almost sound redundant, as the last two episodes have been so deeply intertwined with Spider-Man: Brand New Day, but I would love to touch on a Spider-Man movie that notoriously has seen a lot of hate come its way. I personally love it. I understand a lot of people don't. I think I would like to talk today about The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Ooh.
Tweaking just a few details to not only save that movie, but to also set up for a hypothetical TASM 3 that never was, and then possibly even leading into an intertwining with the MCU, if you really wanted to go that far. Because hypothetically, if TASM 3 happened, you got to think at some point that they might have even made Andrew Garfield the MCU's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So the whole issue that people have had with TASM 2 for 12 years now is how it's overstuffed. People say that the problem is they should have either leaned into Goblin, they should have leaned into Electro, they should have leaned into Rhino, but not all three. And certainly not at the cost of taking screen time away from Andrew Garfield's dynamic with Emma Stone in the relationship with Peter and Gwen, seeing as how you were going to kill Gwen at the end. If I had a chance to redo TASM 2, I would keep Electro as the core villain. However, I would actually have a situation where, because there's no bad blood between Peter and Norman in this universe, and it was Norman and Peter's dad who is hypothetically deceased in this universe, I would actually have Peter confide in Harry at some point in the movie that he was Spider-Man. And so, in addition to Harry being in control of Oscorp now with his dad's passing and all of the resources and technology that Oscorp has at its disposal, despite the board disagreeing with Harry and this and that, I would have Harry, in addition to trying to work to find the cure for his disease, also helping Peter outsource Oscorp's technology to further Peter's causes as Spider-Man. And you could even create a situation where Peter becomes the superior Spider-Man, where he has like an upgraded suit or an upgraded this or that. But I would have at some point, the big kicker here, I would keep Harry the entire time. I would have at some point a situation sometime after the Times Square showdown where Electro handily defeats Spider-Man. Peter goes to Harry, and rather than Harry confront Peter with some suspicion around what's going on with Oscorp and what's going on with Spider-Man and what's going on with spiders and this and that and Peter's dad's research, I would repurpose that conversation where Peter confides in Harry that he's Spider-Man, and he actually says to Harry to some extent, so now that you know I'm Spider-Man, this is what happened with Electro. I can't defeat him with my technology. He's too powerful. There's no way with the makeup of my webs that I can ultimately stand a chance against Electro. Mm-hmm. So I fear what happens if Electro continues to grow in power, and me and my technology capabilities am not able to take him on in his infant state. I would have a situation where Harry brings to Peter a symbiotic material and say to Peter, this symbiotic matter is made of nothing that's on the periodic table. we don't understand what it is, but we've tested it on everything. And it has great resilience to water, it has great resilience to fire, and it has great resilience to electricity. And I would have him say something like, we can't figure this out, but we've tried multiple different matter resources to try and experiment with it and see how it reacts to certain things. And one thing that it's withstood is electricity. So what if we find a way to bind this symbiotic matter with your web fluid? And I would have a situation where they experiment enough and figure out a way to implement the symbiotic matter into Peter's web fluid, come to find out that it's the symbiote. So I would have the final fight with Electro almost play out exactly the way it should. I would actually not have Gwen die here. I would have Gwen survive the events of TASM 2.
Okay.
However, I would have a situation where in a moment of immense frustration with Electro, the symbiote almost overtakes Spider-Man and is what allows him to go over the top and defeat Electro. Because his power just is completely immune, or his weakness is completely nullified by the symbiotic power.
Mm-hmm.
And so Electro is nullified and reduced to just being a human again. They contain him, they arrest him, this and that. And I would have it be a situation where it's almost played off like a moment of confusion. And so the movie almost ends on an open book note, but you've now laid the groundwork of the symbiote is in Garfield's universe. And it's starting to lay the seeds of, you could even have moments in like an epilogue type sequence where it's maybe changing his mood, or it's affecting this or that, or he's almost the suit is off, but he's still experimenting with the symbiote or something, where he's starting to almost like pair himself mentally or emotionally with the symbiote.
Yep.
Leading into TASM 3 then, I would have Harry continue with his illness. You open up TASM 3 and Harry is almost on death's door and Harry's becoming desperate. And so the dynamic now is rather than, hey, your dad used to help with this and that and have experimental stuff, and I know you know Spider-Man because you take his pictures, is there any chance, like, with your science knowledge and your knowledge of who Spider-Man is there any chance, like, you could maybe help me with experiments and you could maybe get your buddy Spider-Man to come help me and give me some of his blood so that I can heal myself? Like, instead of all that, now it's just directly personal to, hey, I helped you, you help me now, Peter. Like, now it's like a relationship where now we've had a movie to build up their relationship again. It's not like, hey, we're old buddies, help me with my experiments and I'm going to get frustrated with you when we can't find solutions.
Right.
Now it's, I put my stuff on the sideline to help you figure out your stuff with Electro and we save the city. I think you owe it to me to help me a little bit. Your blood could heal me. We could find a cure for this and we could help other people. And you could have Harry almost approach it more nobly, with more nobility, rather than from a selfish, I'm just trying to survive standpoint and you're just in my way. Now you have it where it's almost like more of a relational, I scratched your back, you scratch mine, buddy.
Right.
And
almost
so,
like Insomniac does.
Exactly. So you have a buildup where 3 almost is this like pressure cooker of like Harry's on death's door and he's nearly approaching death and Peter and him are experimenting, try as they might. You could have some other villain come into play, maybe like side villains. You could even have it be where throughout TASM 3 he's tackling like rhinos and vultures and scorpions and these BC tier list Spider-Man heroes, or I'm sorry, villains. But you're building up this tension between Peter and Harry where, try as he might, Peter just is trying to help him with the experiments, but like he just, for the life of him, knows that if he gives Harry his blood, same as TASM 2, it's going to be Harry's undoing. And you could have that TASM breaking point where Harry becomes the Goblin, but at least in this point, you've had it be, it's way more personal between Harry and Peter. And now when he takes Gwen to the top of the clock tower, it's, I put my life on the line for you, and I put my life on hold so that you could keep this city safe, and you weren't able to help me, so now I'm just going to take away everything that means something to you. Now it feels way more personal and earned, and then at that point, I would end the TASM trilogy on that tragic book note of Gwen's gone and Spider-Man just has that duty to the city. So I would have the resolution of TASM 2, but strung across 2 movies.
Right.
And then I would have him return in No Way Home. You could have the same conclusions drawn. You know what I mean? But it's even that much more emotional. I just think TASM 2 had all of the elements of a masterful Spider-Man story contained in maybe one movie too little. I think if you stretch that across a little bit, you add the symbiote, and I think having that be a thing where it's like, hey, you're fighting Electro, you can't take on electricity. That's not what your technology allows for. But we have this symbiotic matter in Oscorp that they've been secretly testing in our chambers here, and it's resistant to water, it's resistant to electricity. So why don't you just implement it and test it in small doses and see? But as we know with the symbiote, all it takes is like one drop, and it overtakes your body, it overtakes everything. And so I would have it be, if you just put the symbiote in there, if you make Electro the key focus of 2, Goblin the key focus of 3, Gwen's death, this thing that's more drawn out over a trilogy, you're talking about a really powerful Spider-Man trilogy. And I think that if there's one thing the TASM movies do well, it's they unapologetically tackle grief as something that can't always be remedied.
And
And
you
so
have to move on.
And so I think that if you end his trilogy with Gwen's death, but also Spider-Man getting back up at the end, I don't think that there's even necessarily a better way you can tell a Spider-Man story. He didn't need a TASM 3 to show him back at the top of his game. I think you could still have it end the same way, because ultimately Spider-Man is the guy that gets beaten down and gets back up.
Right.
You
So as long as it ends with him getting back up the same way TASM 2 does,
you don't have to have a movie of a come
agree.
up.
I
You
agree.
can keep it the same. And I think between Gwen's dad and Gwen, I think they've always, with the TASM movies, they always tackled grief in a really profound way. Uncle Ben, like, none of these things ever have a resolution. It's just, this person died and I can't live with myself, but I have to move on. Like, I just think it becomes that much more powerful. So I'm not even changing anything to maybe make the movies better, but I'm allowing those themes that are so central to those movies to breathe for an extra bit of time.
Would the symbiote ever be something Harry uses to save his life at all, or no? Would you use that at all?
You could, because ultimately that's what we see in the games.
Right.
Is he uses that and it pairs with him.
Or would you just allow Peter to kind of own it the whole time?
I think if we allow it to be Peter, I think if we allow it to be something that just Peter solely wrestles with and almost keeps a secret from everybody, as far as Harry knows, he's still just using that as a technology thing. In Harry's head, he hasn't even clocked that this is a resource he can use to heal himself. Right. In his head, it was like, this is just a matter that's resistant to the other matters out there. Like, this is just like possibly a defense mechanism. I think if you just have that as Peter's secret of I have this alter ego, this personality, I feel myself changing, but I'm afraid of what it means, and I'm really resisting it, and I'm not embracing this thing because I'm scared of it. I feel angry. I don't know what that's about. And then you have it finally come out for the it's almost like for the betterment of what the story needs. You're doing this for the greater good. Like, you're allowing this Venom symbiote to come out to defeat Goblin, but at what cost? The cost of Gwen, but then you have Spider-Man come out on top. I just think it plays out so powerfully. Yeah.
So the only thing I would push back a little bit on, I really like the idea, is him having the symbiote at the end that causes Gwen partly to die and him trying to overcome that. The only thing I feel like is if you do that and then it's him getting back up at the end, you almost need a device for there to be a reason that he has to shed the symbiote.
He has to shed it.
And he can't just shed it by getting rid of it. Like, he has to shed it and do something instead almost. Like, that's the only thing. So I think you can't, like, leave it that the last action that happens is him, like, indirectly or kind of directly causing Gwen's death with the symbiote, shedding it, and then moving on to fight someone else. Like, I don't know if it like, you almost need like a moment like that where it's like he's in the midst of, you'd almost have to have him still fighting somebody at the same time after she dies.
You're right.
So that after she dies, he realizes this, and then he finally decides to shed it and kill Electro or whoever. I mean, not that it would be Electro at that point.
You're
but
right.
Somebody else with that.
Unless you use the symbiote almost in Brand New Day like a mutation, but the problem is you would still need another bit of time to explain that. So I understand. That's the one bit that I didn't really.
No, I know. It's the idea though.
But I think, and again, I mean, in that situation, honestly, in that situation, we don't want to admit it, but if you did a TASM 3 and it played off that smoothly, you wouldn't need Tom. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that because I wouldn't want him at some point, but like, you could have Andrew explore that. You know what I mean? Or you could have Andrew go away for a while and come back in Secret Wars, and he's the Spider-Man that's dealing with the symbiote. I don't know. There's so much there. It gets hairy. But I really like the idea of stretching Harry into the third. I like the idea of keeping Electro the core part of 2 and having this. I like the big thing in my head is I like the idea of a symbiote being introduced as a defense mechanism against Electro, and then having it be something that's overtaking Peter over the course of 2 movies.
Well, I agree with you that I think the Gwen death hits harder in a third movie, like you said, because I think that ending of TASM 2 is a perfect, like, way to end it.
It's great.
So I agree with you, and I feel like for the overstuffness, you could have allowed their dynamic to play out one more movie, and had the third movie almost be it's mixed though, because they almost figure it out at the end of TASM 2, and I don't want it to be a Spider-Man 3, because my biggest gripe with Spider-Man 3 is they can't figure it out, then they finally figure it out at the very end of the second one, and then the third one, they haven't figured it out again. And then they kind of do at the end, but
So
it's like
maybe
up in the
then
air.
in that case, I would do a TASM 4 where he's just shedding the symbiote, maybe. I don't
Okay,
know.
Interesting.
But then it's just tricky. I guess maybe you're right.
It gets yeah. But that's cool. I like the idea.
I don't
That's
know.
good.
Something to think
That's
about.
good.
Yeah, what
This
was your
one will be
second one?
quick. This second one will be quick. I think people are wrong about Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is.
Oh my god.
And I think it's only a couple tweaks away from actually being a really good movie.
That I agree with.
I think the biggest thing that they did well, actually, was the first 30 minutes of the movie, I think, are hilarious. I think that keeps the same themes as Ragnarok, and I think it is really funny. I think they should have the fact that they lean into a more even goofy comedy style than they do in Ragnarok would work really well if then you make that first opening sequence, you don't make her woman Thor at all. That first opening sequence where you see Gore killing a couple people and then he comes out and they're having that fight. I think you lean into the fact that Thor is still in his goofy mindset, being kind of hokey and whatever, and then you kill Jane right then. I think that shift of killing Jane right then, where Gore just has her maybe, and instead of him disappearing or something, he just kills her on the spot. That moment, you have Thor be able to shift from that goofy character to understanding the darkness and weight that, like, because he was goofy in that situation, he led to her death.
Interesting.
So then you have it flip where he understands that now because he's been so deep into that goofiness that, like, he's totally lost it.
He's running
He's
from
lost
something,
the
and now
plot.
it caught up to him.
Yes. And so now he just lost that. So I think you can play on that and just make obviously the things where the terrible CGI and the woman Thor and the kid stuff, that stuff sucks. But when you restart the movie there, you can take it in a bunch of different directions with Thor actually being a lot more of a deeper thing. And then Thor's new mindset where you get the bridge from Ragnarok to the Thor we're going to get in Doomsday of this really goofy, jokey guy to a hardened guy that's very disciplined and understands the weight behind stuff. So that way, when he does get a daughter at the end, it's because no longer is he doing it just because of whatever, but it's because he understands that this girl he needs to protect. He has a responsibility actually to these people that, like, without him doing stuff, they aren't going to be able to make it. Like, he has that responsibility. He can't be goofy, jokey, whatever. So then when Doomsday rolls around, it's not just him being back to serious again. Like, it makes sense. That was the transition point.
Interesting.
So I think her dying while keeping the goofiness at the beginning makes it more of his fault that he can then launch from that and go to this hardened version of himself like he did before. Like, we've seen that character arc with him before.
I like that, dude.
But I think you can just do it again.
I like it. I like that a lot. I think that's great. Now, would you keep the Guardian? How prevalent would the Guardians be?
The same, I would keep the first 20 minutes the same.
Interesting.
Exact.
Okay,
Them
so they leave and they don't come back.
Yes, because I think they symbolize that joke.
Goofy thing. Yeah.
And
Sure.
it's almost like he's feeding off their energy.
Yeah.
And he stays in that mindset, and it's almost like he's gotten so far out. Almost like when you watch, like, a movie about, like, an alcoholic that, like, all it takes is for them to hit somebody and kill somebody on the road for them to understand their actions.
Sure.
Yeah, so just all in all, I would have that be the clear direction that you go over goofiness from Ragnarok, keep the same beginning.
Sure.
Have Jane die because of Thor's lack of ability to see beyond the goofiness, and that's what kind of straightens him out, to then leading to a situation of him having that kid and protecting the kid means a lot more and hits a lot deeper if Jane's actually already been killed off because of his own fault.
I like it,
and
dude.
then he's set up well for Doomsday.
I like it.
What's your last?
My last is Incredibles 2. I would have, I mean, a lot of people feel this way. I would have played Incredibles 2 out much differently if I were in charge than they did. I would have had a little bit of a time jump, so that goes without saying. Just allow the family to kind of age up, allow the kids to go through high school and then maybe college, and then they're adults in the third one. You know what I mean? You never know. All that to say, I think the biggest tweak that I would make is the villain. I don't think necessarily that Screenslaver is a bad villain, but I definitely think that if you made the villain hit a little bit closer to home, Incredibles 2 would have had a little bit more of a hearty presence in the larger scope and scale of the Pixar verse. The curveball that I want to throw is I think the Incredibles movies become substantially better if Edna Mode turns out to be a villain. And I've never heard anybody say that before, so I don't know if I'm totally alone here. But I think how fascinating would it be if Edna Mode, this person who has made a career out of reinventing heroes with their costumes and supporting heroes with their outfits and helping with tech and this and that, all through the glory days of the hero age, the extinction of heroes, and then the return of heroes with the Incredibles and the defeat of Syndrome, how fascinating would it be if Syndrome this whole time was actually answering to her? You have the genius who's supplying Syndrome's base with the technology to take on the heroes and meet them where their weaknesses lie, and then you're equipping the heroes one by one with suits that allow them to have the confidence they would need to take on a Syndrome-level threat or whatever's on that island that's taking these heroes out. So you're creating a demand for these outfits that every next hero is looking for the one that's going to send them over the top and get them over to save everybody. But then you're also equipping Syndrome with the military technology to take all of them out, leading to the extinction of heroes, leading to the Incredibles. I just think how interesting would it be if keeping your friends close and your enemies closer played a little bit more into the Incredibles. I think that there's enough of like a double-crossing dynamic in the Incredibles franchise to where if Edna Mode, the one safe bet at an ally in this, turned out to be the biggest enemy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be so interesting, and I think about how her home is like rigged out the wazoo with technology, laser devices, and military turrets and this and that. Very reminiscent of Syndrome's Island. I think about the fact that she equipped Mr. Incredible with a homing beacon and the eye symbol, that when he got onto the island, the giveaway that allowed him to be captured and taken into captivity was that beacon going off. What if she set that off? You know what I mean? Like there's little bits and pieces in there where I'm like, what if? Not necessarily that they would, not that I think people would really gravitate towards that now, but I think how interesting would that have been if
It's for sure plausible.
If you had made her a villain. And I just think if you had her almost like in a military industrial complex type villain, like a shadowy figure behind the scenes where she's playing this role of like the ally to the heroes with all the no capes propaganda that she's touting, but also she's equipping all these heroes with the resources that they needed to that walked them into their deaths.
I like that, dude, because it's not like a Darth Jar Jar or something. It's something that actually, like, according to what happened, could have made sense.
It's plausible.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
I just find it interesting, dude.
I like that.
And also, it just looks like Syndrome's suit was made by her.
Yeah, could have been.
So, you know what I mean? And she equipped him with a cape in the event that he ever turned on her and she needed to take him out.
No capes,
You know what I mean?
because get you killed.
So there's
like
there's
that.
things where occasionally I'm like, I wonder how cool that would be if she was a villain. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
would come out of nowhere.
I think it'd be tough for a kids movie, but I am with you.
Yeah, as the kids who grew up with it, though, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
I think it would
yeah,
rock. I think it would be
100%.
great. I just can imagine for a Pixar movie.
Sure.
The same way I talk about the Cars 3 thing. It's like, it's tough to have that be the resolution.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
But
there you go.
there you go.
There's
You
the
happy?
episode. Nice and
There's-
quick.
nice and quick. Nice and
I'm
quick.
happy. Yeah, you?
Yeah. Thank you always for listening. Everybody listening and supporting us. If you want to, what?
I was gonna say big announcement in the next like 1 or 2 weeks. We're hoping to be back down in the old crib.
Yeah, should be
the old
back.
crib. Yeah,
Back in the crib.
we're gonna do everything we can. We're still fixing some
not
stuff down
official.
there, so we're still drying some
Not
stuff out.
official.
But our corner that we were in, we don't need like a carpet down there. We don't need a
Yeah.
we don't need like sheetrock on the bottom 2 inches of the walls. Like we can make it
Hopefully.
happen.
Yeah.
We hope that it's there.
Yeah.
but we can work around it.
Yep.
But
Yeah, but
We're-
thank you
we're
again
hopeful.
for everyone listening.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to support more, we got merch. You can follow our Instagram, TikTok, and our Discord if you want to join that.
there you go.
Deeper connections with us. So
Yeah.
But as always, you may not have felt it, but you embraced it.